Bienvenidos. ¿Quieres aprender inglés de manera más eficiente? Hoy te mostraremos una técnica innovadora que te ayudará a lograrlo. Si estás listo para algo nuevo, quédate hasta el final. Y si te gusta, suscríbete, da like y déjanos un comentario. Empecemos.
Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a very strong and fast horse. His coat shone in the sun and his gallop resounded like thunder on the plain. Everyone in the kingdom admired him for his strength and speed. He was the pride of the knights and the king's most loyal companion. One day, as the horse was strolling near a lake, he heard a small voice. It was a tiny frog, balancing on a lily pad. The frog, although small and seemingly fragile, had a spark of wit in his eyes. "Hello, big horse," croaked the frog. "Where are you going so fast?" The horse, accustomed to being the most admired and respected, looked at the frog with curiosity. "I'm going to tour the kingdom," replied the horse. "I like to feel the wind in my mane and the earth under my hooves." "And you? What are you doing here, little frog?" The frog smiled and said, "I'm also going to tour the kingdom, but in my own way. I don't need to run. I use my wits to get where I want to go." The horse laughed softly. "Your wits? What can a little frog do that I can't do with my speed and strength?" The frog looked at him, still, and proposed a challenge. "How about we race to the other side of the lake? You'll run on land and I'll use my wits to get there first. If I win, you'll have to admit that strength and speed aren't always the most important things." The horse, confident, accepted the challenge. He prepared to run, sure that he would win without difficulty. When the horse began to gallop, the frog simply jumped into the water. But he didn't swim. He stood still, trusting in his small but effective idea. Suddenly, a gentle current began to move the lily pad where he was sitting. The pad moved slowly but surely, carried by the current. The horse ran so fast that he reached the end of the lake in the blink of an eye. But to his surprise, when he reached the finish line, the frog was already there, sitting on his leaf, waiting for him with a smile. "How did you do it?" the horse asked, incredulously. "I used the lake's current," the frog replied. "I knew I couldn't compete with your speed, so I let nature help me." Sometimes, the key is not to be the fastest or the strongest, but to be the wisest and most patient. The horse reflected on what had happened and, with humility, admitted that the frog was right. From that day on, every time he faced a challenge, he remembered the frog's lesson: not everything is solved with strength and speed, ingenuity and patience can be just as powerful. One day, while the horse and the frog shared a quiet evening by the lake, a sudden storm darkened the sky. Thunder roared and the wind began to blow strongly. The horse, accustomed to facing danger, stood on guard, protecting the little frog. "Don't be afraid, my frog friend," said the horse. "I will take you to a safe place before the storm gets worse." But the frog, with his characteristic wisdom, stopped him. "Wait a moment, great horse. Before we run, let us listen to what the storm has to say." The horse, surprised, frowned. Listen to the storm. But how can that help us? The frog, with a serene smile, replied. Every storm brings with it a lesson. If we learn to listen, we can find calm in the midst of chaos. Curious, the horse stood still. He closed his eyes and, for the first time, paid attention to the sound of the wind, the rumble of thunder, and the murmur of the rain that was beginning to fall. Little by little, he realized that, although the storm was powerful, it was not eternal. The rain was not only a threat, it was also life for the kingdom, water for the rivers, and food for the plants. You are right, frog, said the horse, with a new understanding. Sometimes, in the midst of noise, we forget that calm always follows the storm. And that even in the darkest moments, there is something positive that we can find. The frog nodded, satisfied that his friend had learned another valuable lesson. That's right, horse. We can't always control what happens around us, but we can decide how we react. Sometimes, the best response is not to run or fight, but to wait, watch, and learn. The storm passed, leaving behind a rainbow that lit up the sky. The horse and the frog watched that scene together, in silence, feeling the peace that followed the storm. Thank you, frog, said the horse. I have learned that strength is not always in the muscles, nor speed in the legs. Sometimes, true strength is in patience and in the ability to see what others do not see. The frog smiled and replied. And I, dear horse, have learned that bravery is not always measured by how quickly you run away from danger, but by how calmly you face the unknown. So, the horse and the frog continued their days, learning from each other, facing new adventures and challenges together. Because in life, each day is an opportunity to grow, to be wiser and stronger, not only in body, but in spirit. The days passed, and the horse and the frog became inseparable. Each morning, the horse galloped through the meadows, while the frog accompanied him from his little pond, watching and offering advice when necessary. Although they were very different, together they made a perfect team. One day, a rumor reached the kingdom about a distant mountain, where, it was said, there was a magic spring. It was said that whoever drank from its waters would receive a special gift, something unique that would change their life forever. The horse, always eager for new challenges, decided that he had to find that spring. Frog, would you accompany me on this adventure? Asked the horse, with excitement in his eyes. The frog, thoughtful, answered. Of course I will accompany you. But remember, horse, that not all promises of power and magic bring happiness. Sometimes, what we seek outside, we already have within us. The horse, although he listened to the frog, was determined to undertake the journey. He wanted to discover if that spring really existed and what gift it could offer him. Thus, both began their journey. The path to the mountain was long and full of obstacles. They had to cross fast-flowing rivers, navigate dark forests and face cold winds that tried to make them turn back. But, in every challenge, the frog always found a creative solution, while the horse used his strength and determination to move forward. Finally, after days of travel, they reached the base of the mountain. It was tall, imposing, and seemed to touch the sky. "Here we are," said the horse, looking up at the summit. "The spring must be somewhere up there." But the frog, who was observing closely, noticed something strange. There were no paths, no signs, no traces that anyone had ever climbed it before. The mountain, although majestic, seemed to be protected by an eerie silence. "Horse," said the frog cautiously, "before we climb, let's think for a moment. What are you really looking for in that spring? Is it something you really need, or is it just an illusion created by the desire for more?" The horse, who had been so focused on getting there, paused to reflect. What was he really looking for? New strength, greater speed, or perhaps something deeper? "I don't know," the horse answered truthfully. "Maybe I've been looking for something I already have. But now, I feel like this journey has been more important than any magical source. I've learned that with your wits and my strength, we've overcome everything that's been put in front of us. Maybe that's what really matters." The frog smiled, knowing that his friend had understood a profound truth. Sometimes adventures aren't about finding something new, but about discovering what's always been within us, the frog said. "You already have the strength and wisdom to face anything, horse. You don't need anything else." With those words, the horse decided not to climb the mountain. Instead of looking for something external, he chose to return to the kingdom, his heart filled with gratitude for the friendship and lessons learned along the way. And so, they returned together, closer than ever, knowing that no matter how high the mountain or how far away a goal seems, what really counts is the journey, the lessons learned, and the bonds formed along the way. And so, dear reader, the story continues, because life is a series of adventures, some big, some small, but all filled with opportunities to grow, learn, and discover the true treasure within. What new mountain awaits you? What will you discover on your next journey?
Y con eso terminamos. Si te gustó este vídeo, asegúrate de suscribirte al canal. Además, te invitamos a ver el siguiente vídeo que te dejamos por aquí, para seguir mejorando tu nivel de inglés a base de práctica y repetición. Nos vemos allí.